The dark truth of Zechariah chapter 5 and Genesis chapter 3, when judgment becomes wicked. Beyond the basket, is hell just quarantine? Why containment isn't justice? Why punishment without reform is wickedness? Containment equals external management, the basket is moved. The risk, without reform, the basket just waits for someone else to open the lid. Reform equals internal transformation, the heart changes. Quarantine is not the same as cure, and when a system settles for merely managing or hiding evil rather than transforming it, the system itself loses its moral authority. The trap of containment. When the angel throws the lid cover over the basket, it is an act of restraint, not redemption. If we just push the lid over the basket, we are ignoring the root cause. At a certain point, the wickedness of the community becomes so concentrated that it can no longer be fixed through simple warnings. It must be physically removed so it doesn't infect the rebuilding of the new temple. In the Bible, Shinar, Babylon, is the symbolic home of human rebellion, the Tower of Babel. By building a pedestal or house for the basket there, the vision is saying, wickedness has found its permanent residence. It is no longer a mistake or a stumble, it has become a structured, settled reality in a land. Judgment itself becomes wicked if it doesn't restore balance. If a judge simply moves a criminal from one room to another without addressing the crime or the victim's suffering, the justice system is merely participating in the displacement of evil, not the removal of it.
Zechariah chapter 5 and Genesis chapter 3, the flying scroll and the woman in a basket, punishments without a change or reform equals wickedness. In both Zechariah chapter 5 and Genesis chapter 3, we see a world that has gone wrong, and the responses it demands. The response of punishment paired with consequences, and/or the promise of enmity between the serpent and the woman's offspring, a third, whether good or bad, Revelation chapter 12 and Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. Zechariah chapter 5 and Genesis chapter 3, these passages remind us that ignoring wrongdoing without seeking change brings consequences. Even the divine, the gods, the creator of both good and evil, are not exempt from the principle that ignoring wrongdoing without reform leads to consequences. This challenges us to reflect on the importance of transformation and reform for good in a world that has strayed. Ignoring wrongdoing, like pushing the lid over the basket or sending it to Babylon, to set it there in its place, shows that judgment itself becomes wicked. Without true correction or the removal of wickedness, it cannot restore balance, highlight the need for change, or relieve suffering. The containment of evil, and the necessity of internal transformation, the lid cover, this represents the total containment of sin. It isn't being reformed here, it is being quarantined. The basket isn't reformed, it's exported. There's a point where this becomes a fixed identity rather than a mistake. Is God evil? Is hell endless?
If the judge only focuses on the room, the cell, the victim's suffering remains unaddressed. True balance requires restitution, an attempt to make the victim whole again. Merely changing a person's location does nothing to change their nature. Without true correction, the person becomes a fixed identity of wickedness. When a system just pushes the lid over the basket, it is essentially lying to itself. It claims the problem is solved because it is out of sight, but the evil is simply being concentrated elsewhere.